It's the kind of murder that movies are made of. But now, Crime Watch Daily tells the shocking, real-life version of the sensational case.
This was a horrific crime.
I've never had any one case like it. I'm sure I never will again.
It's overkill, is what it is. It's overkill.
And in an exclusive interview from behind bars, one of the two killers makes a startling statement that raises a nagging question of just who did what in this twisted tale of sex and savagery.
So what I did that night is not that far-fetched. I was in there, I heard it, I was jealous.
Brian Cochis, the man known in the porn business as King Cobra, probably wouldn't be dead, and there would be no movie if not for an encounter between these two gay men at a mall in Virginia Beach. One of them was Joe Karakis, then a 28-year-old former Marine who now owned his own escort service. The other, Harlow Quadra, then a handsome 20-year-old Navy recruit, who recalls that first meeting in this phone interview from behind bars.
I liked him, but it was kind of like my first date. I didn't know how to act.
As for Joe, he was immediately smitten with the boyishly handsome Harlow, and soon the two were an item.
The romantic relationship between Joe and Harlow began rather quickly, and I think was precipitated by the fact that Joe's a little bit older than Harlow, and Harlow always seemed to be looking for a bit of a direction or a leader in his life.
Andrew Stoner, a co-author of the book on which the new movie King Cobra is based, says they were a perfect match.
Joe is also very manipulative and very powerful in terms of his demands on what he wants, and Harlow seemed to fit into that.
Joe talked Harlow into getting out of the Navy and moving in with him.
And Harlow became dependent upon him for his house, for his clothing, for his car, for his food. All of his daily expenses were covered by Joe,
who was also pimping him out for what Joe says was $1 million a year in his sex business.
He got me involved in male escorting, which is, like being a call boy, literally. They called me and I went to their home.
And it quickly turned into a huge money spinner, both of them making a fortune from clients paying huge sums of money for the services of Harlow, who looked underage.
And then from there, it just built up until I was handling, everything that came at me.
Anyone looking at Joe and Harlow's life, right from their house to their cars, to their clothing, to the Rolex watches, to the vacations they took, would say these two people are really very, very successful.
Becoming so successful, Joe wanted to expand into the adult movie business.
Hey, isn't that Brian and Matt's car out there?
Yeah, they came over to help me out, but they're just in the room goofing off, man.
But their movies weren't making enough money to support the couple's lavish lifestyle.
It was a mountain of debt that was going to fall in on them.
So Joe and Harlow draw up an ambitious new blueprint for fame and fortune. Get the hottest name in gay porn, Sean Lockhart, stage name Brent Corrigan, to star in their movies.
Joe believes they can make $1 million.
They contact Sean and his manager, Grant Roy, and the four eventually meet in Las Vegas to discuss the deal while they are all there for an adult entertainment convention.
Joe and Harlow viewed this as an opportunity to really wow Sean, so they went all out in terms of purchasing expensive meals and offering gifts and things of that sort.
Sean recalls the meeting in this online interview with internet personality Jeff for Justice.
They offered an obscene amount of money to do, a couple of scenes, and I was like, this is ridiculous. You guys are out of your minds.
And Joe and Harlow learn there's one big problem. Sean is still under contract to a porn baron named Brian Cochis.
Sean's trying to break free. He wants to make his own movies, and Brian is not willing to let him loose of the contract.
But Joe and Harlow have a plan. Harlow asking Sean and Grant during their meeting,
what if Brian Cochis went away and didn't come back? Wouldn't that solve the contract dispute?
Sean and Grant don't like what they're hearing.
Sean came away from that meeting frightened of Harlow and Joe, of what their intentions were.
Next, those fears are realized beyond anyone's worst nightmares just 2 weeks later, when the body of Brian Coaches is found repeatedly stabbed, mutilated, and burned beyond recognition in his blazing home.
What did the autopsy reveal?